Shalom, Hebrews. Shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Alright, Hebrews. I always show how we ran into Africa. All my videos is basically about how we ran into Africa. And I got a video showing how Ashkenazi got into our heritage, but I really ain't just go into all the detail that I wanted to. Check this out. This video is about who chased the Israelites into Africa. You know what I'm saying? Who chased us into Africa? You know, how did the Hebrews end up in Africa getting enslaved? You know what I'm saying? I show you how we broke covenant in the other videos. And I show you how, you know, we didn't do right by the covenant and how we was driven off the land. Okay, it had to be somebody that drove us off the land. And it was nothing other than Ashkenazi. You know, Ashkenazi got a code name in history. They real cold with these names. You know, our enemies, since we had abandoned our heritage to some scribes that's responsible for Babylon's history, and Babylon was responsible for world history, and that we abandoned our heritage to some scribes that can create new names, give the old tribes new names, you know, to kind of like distort history. You see, when we abandon our heritage to those Sephardi's, the Sephardims, when we abandon our heritage to the Sephardims during the Babylonian wars, when we abandoned our heritage to them, they was Babylonian scribes, and they was responsible for world history, and they can assign new names to people and stuff. And it's like, you know, they had to assign the new names to our enemies in the ancient tribes. They had to give them a new name in English and Latin and so forth. And how the old records, you basically ain't finna get those folks original name that was recorded unless you go to maybe some Assyrian sources and Egyptian sources, you know. And you know, they tell you who the Amorites is and who Ashkenazi is. You know, in history, the Assyrians called Ashkenazi, who would later be called Scythians, by their original name. You see what I'm saying? And this is wrote in history, but because the world, you know, they play these games that they don't, you know who the Jews are, and giving the Jews a pass on this stolen heritage that they have, that the people in the world ain't been questioning Ashkenazi or the Sephardi's by their of their true identity, because, you know, they benefit from it. You know, it's like the world benefit, the whole world benefit from the Ashkenazi and the Sephardi Jews as being recognized as the Israelites. You know, because all the non-pigmented people are highlighted and raised on high. Whereas if the Israelites, who are dark-skinned, you know, as we are with pigmentation, it would rise the pigmented peoples on high. So the pigmented peoples on earth is kind of real blind, because they don't know that if they raise the true Israelites to their status with pigmentation, then that'll get them, you know, power in the earth. But long as the Jews in the Ashkenazi and the Sephardi Jews, going by that the tribes of Israel don't have any pigmentation and that they represent them, then, you know, the non-pigmented people gonna have the power and stuff. So it's been a con game going for a long time. And we Hebrews at fault, because it was us Hebrews that didn't do the covenant. See, if we would have followed the covenant and the instructions of the Creator when we first left Egypt and destroyed our enemies, man, the whole earth would be a paradise right now. The whole earth would be a paradise. It wouldn't be no cutting down all these trees. You know, we built houses and had technology. We even had a telephone that we can call the creator that was in the temple, the ark. Yes, that was a communication device. I don't care what nobody say. You know, them folks got in front of that thing and prayed to the creator, and he heard them. And I'm going to explain how it was real slick for our enemies to burn the temple up. You see, our enemies ain't telling us the truth. You know, our enemies ain't telling us the truth about Israelite history, and they not telling the world about Israelite history, because if they told the world the truth about Israelite history, and the majority of the people on earth have a degree of pigmentation, then they'll lose their power. You see what I'm saying? So they ain't trying to, you know, tell no truth, and they've been hiding the truth for a long time, and they go through extraordinary means to tell a lie to keep the truth about the Israelites hidden. Okay, you know, I want to show how, you know, them folks was slick during the Babylonian wars when they burnt the temple up, because they know we couldn't communicate with the creator. And then I'm gonna show the people that, you know, chased us up off the promised land into Africa. It was none other than Ashkenazi under the name Scythian. You know, and how those folks chased us, you know, into Africa, and how it was basically fulfilling the will of the creator, because some kind of way we had to be driven off the land. Because if you read the book of Jeremiah, which is going to be our last prophet for the 99%, you will see how wicked we were. You know, our level of wickedness was comparable to Sodom and Gomorrah. Whereas the creator told the prophet Jeremiah that if he found anybody righteous, or somebody that's, you know, righteous, that the creators, you know, knew that was righteous and that would pray, and wasn't full of the wickedness that we were, you know, during them times, that he would spare, you know, us and spare the land. And it wasn't nobody righteous. We was all wicked, and we was on that Egyptian religion. And like I said in previous videos, it was a reason why the Egyptians wanted us on a religion. Man, you know, it's like them Hamites are kindred to those non-pigmented peoples. You know, the Amorites that control Babylon. You know, those will be their kindreds, even though they wouldn't have no pigmentation, and how they kind of like worked it together. You know, if you look in history, you'll see how the Mesopotamian folks did trade with the Egyptians, and how they had correspondence. That's like the Babylonians did correspondence with Egypt through the Assyrian language, and you know how they all communicated together and did trade. But if we Hebrews had the covenant that, you know, we were supposed to do, how we would have stopped all that, and how we would have basically destroyed Egypt without basically having to lift a hand. Because if we did the covenant, the Egyptians couldn't come across the promised land. You know, the Egyptians couldn't come across the promised land if we did the covenant. They couldn't come across the promised land and unite with they wicked folks here in Mesopotamia. You know, the covenant was blocking all that. So the Egyptians was smart in a wicked sense, being that they peeped way back from Prophet Joseph days that the creator was dealing with us Israelites. So the Pharaoh gave Joseph Asenath, who would have two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, and how the tribe of Ephraim kept a strong contact with the Egyptians, and how that brought us down. Because the Egyptians can go across the promised land, and then at different times we will be on the Egyptian religion, and then that will mess us up and keep us off covenant. See, if we off covenant, then our enemies got the power and got the strength. But if we trying to do covenant or pray to the creator, then that take the enemy's strength away, because the creator gonna work through us. He not gonna work through those wicked, evil tribes that he told us to destroy. You know, that's why come we didn't get destroyed, because the Creator still have a plan with us with dealing with our enemies. You see what I'm saying? Okay, Hebrews, check this out. All right, I show all the time, you know, how we ran into Africa, but I really, you know, ain't show who did it to us and who ran us up off the land. You know, that's a Scythian. That's Ashkenazi. Those are the non-pigmented peoples. You know, and you know, we think that the non-pigmented people just popped out of a cave and then, you know, all of a sudden it had civilization. No, it took stages, and it was done in stages, and how those folks kicked it in Assyria. You know, Ashkenazi. You know, Ashkenazi code name in history is Scythian. Let me establish that. You know, oh, here it is right there. Look, you see that say Ashkenazi, and then as you read down, you know what I'm saying, it'll tell you Ashkenazi. See, they real slick with their words. You know, they'll tell you the truth and then they'll try to cover it up. You know, Ashkenazi was first associated with the Scythian region. You know, if Ashkenazi associated with the Scythian region, and then the Assyrians, you know, in the Assyrian Chronicles, you know, they call Ashkenazi by their real name. You know what I'm saying? Ashkenazi was called Ashkenazi, Ashkenazi. You know what I'm saying? Ashkenazi. That's Ashkenazi in the Assyrian language. But the Ashkenazi was first associated with the Scythians, and they lived right above Assyria. You know, right above Assyria. Those gonna be Japhet descendants. And this is what was said before everything came to pass. That's like, you know, the people who keep the history for the Hebrews and the Israelites, and you know, people, you know, that's going back to Prophet Noah, you know, how they keep a false history, and how the enemies are so wicked with our history, and how they lied on the Prophet Noah and said that Ham went and slept with his daddy now, and that Noah walking up with Ham's bio in him, and then how it was all cool, and how I show you that those are lies, and how that the people that's in control now been telling lies about the Israelite heritage, you know, from the beginning to the end, and how they done created all kind of myths like the 10 lost tribes, or that the Hebrews ran into Africa in 70 AD. And I mean, it's a whole bunch of lies, you know, but, you know, we can straighten it up now, because, you know, we do have correct history now. All right, if you go to Genesis 9:27, you know, they kind of pissed me off how they tell that lie about Prophet Noah, knowing that Prophet Noah would have killed Ham if Ham would have did anything sexually to him, and how Japhet and Shem would have killed Ham, you know, for doing something wicked like that to their father. But because our heritage been in the hand of some wicked people that want you to start the whole Tanakh history off with an old wicked thought. You see, they want you to start the Tanakh history off with a wicked thought. So therefore, you don't see the rest of the truth throughout the Tanakh, because you done open the Tanakh and think Ham done raped his daddy. You see what I'm saying? And then I explain that in the other videos. You know, how, you know, Prophet Noah, you know, drunk that wine because, you know, the seeds and stuff probably, you know, grow fast. You know, the Creator, you know, with that miracle grow, helped them grow real fast after the ark settled. And then how, you know, Prophet Noah done drunk some of that wine and then passed out. They didn't have pants on back then, but robes and stuff, and how he probably would have been exposed a little bit, you know what I'm saying, from drinking the wine. And then how old wicked Ham come in and didn't honor his father, but scorned him and talked bad about him, leaving him laying like that, partially clothed and stuff, and how he would leave out the tent and talking crazy. I mean, look at him all drunk, laid out, and, talking bad about his father when the Creator had just destroyed the wicked folks, and this was supposed to be a fresh start, and how the other brothers had to go in and put the cloth on them, on their father and stuff, and have respect for him. But if you let these devils tell it, they want you to start the whole Tanakh history off with some evil, wicked thoughts. You see what I'm saying? And we can't, keep, that going and stuff. All right. If you look at Genesis 9, verse 27, and it says, and Yah shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Okay, that came to pass. That came to pass because Ashkenazi represent Japheth's house. And they came into Shem's house. It didn't say that Shem would be sharing house with Japheth. It said that Japheth will dwell in Tim's in Shem's tent. So we know Shem ain't gonna be too cool with his brother taking his house over, so Shem gonna have to be somewhere. And then it say that Canaan shall be his servant. Well, all this translate into Ashkenazi took over the Israelite heritage, and the Sephardi Jews, who are Amorites, are servants to the Ashkenazi groups today. Right now today, Ashkenazi control the promised land. So that came to pass. You see what I'm saying? All right, Ashkenazi, the Scythians, this is where they lived at. This is where they lived at, and then they would live over here under them underground tunnels. I got videos explaining how Cain descendants were underground, and then I had a video I was watching, and then, dude to tell you how Cain descendants, some of them was running. The folks that lived in the caves was getting on down from something real serious above ground, and how they had to build they underground cities and stuff because they were scared to go up to the top of the ground where the pigmented people, and how hundreds of thousands of them lived underground. Now these, Caucasian peoples from the Caucasus Mountain, that stretched all the way from Turkey, from the bottom of the Caucasus Mountain all the way over here to Turkey, from the bottom of the Caucasus Mountain, at the foot of the Caucasus Mountain. In the Caucasus Mountain, they had underground caves, and that's where Ashkenazi and them would get their start from being underground. They got mixed in with Cain descendants underground, and they would live in them underground cities, hundreds of thousands of them, probably 1 million of them living underground in them underground cities. And they'll tell you that they was terrified from something real serious above ground, and it couldn't have been nothing but the Creator in the heavenly host that was after them non-pigmented folks because of their wickedness, and how Cain had the building technology from being a farmer tilling the ground and stuff, and how he could dig down in the graves and down in the caves real easy. And that's what him and his descendants did. And then that's what Ashkenazi will get their start from down up underground. And then I'm going to show you how they would come up from underground and then go to Assyria. And then from Assyria, they came and got us. All right, listen to this devil.
Providing fresh water. What is especially interesting regarding this underground world is the evidence to suggest that they were hiding from something terrifying.
See, it's them devils, they'll tell you.
A security system consisting of a particular build design, accompanied by numerous gigantic rolling stone blocking doors that would seal the city from the inside.
Underground.
Moreover, its multi-layered design meant that each level could be sealed off from the next level using this
They was hiding system from the Creator in his wrath after he done killed his brother. After Cain had killed his brother, him and his descendants got up underground. They mixed with the heavenly hosts, the Nephilims in them, and they would have underground cities. And then when the pigmented peoples above ground start doing wicked sin that was led by the Tazarat, no pigmented Amorites, who came from pigmented people then they will bring them people off and up underground. And then they'll start, attacking and then mixing with the folks. They mix with the people in Assyria first. And then they got on around to the Zagros Mountain, from the Zagros Mountain, from Turkey to the Zagros Mountain. It's like underground caves and like a crescent. It's like in the crescent right there. And then they would be underground, and then they would come off and underground from Turkey all the way to the Zagros underground cities, and then they'll get in Babylon, and then they'll kick it in Babylon real hard. And then them Assyrians who was associated with the African tribes, the Egyptians and the Libyans and so forth, and then how they'll start attacking them folks, and how them folks would destroy Assyria and then come get us. Like I say, history has not been, history ain't been told in a truthful sense. Our enemy's been lying about history for a long time. You know what I'm saying? That's like when them folks come up out the mountains, them Scythians. That's a royal Scythian right there. Scythian warrior. Look. That's how they look. That's how they would look when they fell up on us. When they came and got us in the book of Jeremiah, that's how they'll be looking coming up out them caves. And I'm going to show you in history how the Scythians, the Ashkenazi, are the people that chased us into Africa. You know what I'm saying? It was them people, looking like that, coming up out of there, men on them horses and so forth. Them Scythians, man, we had to deal with them, and we couldn't deal with them, and we had to get on down. Man, we had to get on down. Them folks was off. When the Creator said, that he was sending for some people to get us up off the land, then, he sure enough did. It was them. Them folks wasn't no joke. I already know what the people had to go through. It wasn't nothing nice. It wasn't nothing nice. It was nothing nice what the people had to go through dealing with them Scythians. Okay, now let's do a little history. Alright. Our sin made Ashkenazi come into the land. Our sin and made Ashkenazi come into the land. That's like I said, from our exodus from Egypt. From the time that Prophet Moses started to get us in the land, and then Prophet Moses passed away, I think 1406 BC, and then Prophet Joshua come on. He was from the tribe of Ephraim. And then how we was told to get rid of our enemies. We come in and got the land, but we didn't destroy our enemies, and how we was all messed up after Joshua death. We was going through all kind of bondages, about 6 or 7 bondages. Just like we Hebrews are the most enslaved ethnic group on the face of this earth, because we done been in slavery to a whole bunch of people. In Judges, we was in all kind of bondages. 275 years of bondages, off and on. Just, man, we couldn't get it right, and we was all messed up. And then Samuel come on, Prophet Samuel come on, and then we started to get it right. This is around 1100 BC. And then Prophet Saul, King Saul come on. You know what I'm saying? We doing right. And then King David, from Saul to from Samuel to King David, it's like 130 years of doing the covenant. We following the law. And then when King David passed away, his son Solomon come on. And Solomon sinned so bad in the latter part of his years, how he started to kick it, and the enemy put their women on him. Just like how now, while we coming into heritage, as long as they had us in bondage and beating us up real bad, they was cool. But then when we started to come into heritage and want to, Hebrews start popping up, Then they started to give us their women. You know what I'm saying? Because they know they're the destroyers. And that's how the exiles was destroyed. Okay, Ashkenazi chased us into Africa under the name Scythian. And they would make up the Babylonian army. You know, they would make up the Babylonian army and they would destroy Nineveh. And Nineveh was destroyed in 612 BC. And as you read history, it'll tell you that a force of Babylonians, Scythians, and Cimmerians, you know, that's going to be all them folks, you know, up in the Caucasus Mountain, them folks living underground, and how they were besieged Assyria and how they were de-urbanized it, depopulated, meaning that they massacred everybody, and how it wasn't hardly any Assyrians left, just a few of them, and how they destroyed the whole Assyrian Empire. Well, they was given a warning to the Assyrians were given a warning to stop kicking it with Ashkenazi. You know, Assyria was given a warning from the prophet Jonah when he went to Assyria and told the Assyrians to clean up and stop doing the wickedness and evilness that they was doing, because, you know, you can tell that the Assyrians had to believe in the Creator, and that this history that they give us about the Assyrians being the total, complete, blind enemy of the Israelites is false history. You know, because I show in the other videos how the Israelites, you know, how we did trade with Assyria, you know, how the Egyptians did trade with the Assyrians and so forth. And I might can go show that verse real quick too. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, so, you know, the history that our enemies been telling us, you know, it's false history. You know, it's false history because, you know, we Israelites keep it with the Assyrians. You see, look. Ephraim feedeth on wind and followeth after the east wind. He daily increaseth lies and desolation, and they do make a covenant with the Assyrians, and all is carried into Egypt. So here is the tribe of Ephraim being the middleman for the Egyptians and the Assyrians. Now this is in 753 BC with the prophet Hosea wrote this. This is way before the Syrian captivity, when the Assyrians kidnapped 3 tribes and took them to help them fight against those Ashkenazi people, like I explained in the other videos, how it was like really a race war going on, how the non-pigmented people was rising up and destroying the pigmented people, and this would be the beginning of the loss of the pigmented people's power on the face of this earth. And it was because us Hebrew Israelites sin that brung the whole pigmented race down. The people that they call black or black skin, we brung the whole race down all over this earth by our wickedness and stuff. You know, that's the way it was. All right, let's see Isaiah 52. You know, this showed that that us Israelites had dealings with the Assyrians, and how our enemies try to say that the Assyrian captivity was something else, and then how they get their heritage. They include other non-pigmented peoples into the Israelite heritage off the 10 lost tribe myth. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, let's see. All right, what this say? All right. For the Elohim saith, my people went down aforetime into Egypt. For this said the Elohim Yah, my people went down aforetime into Egypt to sojourn there, and the Assyrians oppressed them without cause. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, man. So we had to deal with the Syrians, and then that's gonna be around about 760. About 760 BC, them folks, them Ashkenazi, started to get up in Assyria. You know, this the Syrian Empire, and this will be Nineveh over here. And then they'll get on, you know, Assyria was surrounded, you know what I'm saying, by those folks. And then they will start kicking it in Assyria, and then they would get cleaned up and start putting on clothes, because they lived underground for a long time. You know, I showed you where that dude said that something real terrible chased them underground. Whole races of them, hundreds of thousands of no pigmented peoples got chased underground into the caves. We know that's going to be the creator doing that to them. You know, because them people vicious, and you couldn't come across there strolling. You know what I'm saying? That was a no-go zone for the pigmented peoples. But this is strange, because Edom, you see, Edom start mixing with them Hittite folks and them folks up in there. You know, I think Edom had caught, you know, two of their girls and had kids by them, and Edom lost his pigmentation fooling with them. All right, but around about 760 BC is when the prophet Jonah went there. You know, the prophet Jonah went to Assyria and told the Assyrians to stop kicking it with them folks and stop kicking it with them beasts and stop the robbing and killing that they doing, because when Assyria start kicking it with them folks and letting them folks in there, at first I guess they was sending them non-pigmented people out to rob, and then they'll be all down in the lamb robbing, and they'll just be robbing everywhere. That's what the whole Assyrian Empire was, robbers. They was robbers, but they was some intellectual robbers, because they had libraries, books, and so forth. But they would rob, and they would go take the other people's army and incorporate them into their army and make them fight. You see what I'm saying? So that's what the Assyrians did. They took some of them white folks, them non-pigmented people, and put them in their army, and then they started jacking and robbing and stuff. And then that's when the prophet Jonah went up there in 760 BC. You know, prophet Jonah went up there, and then he told them folks to stop kicking it with them beasts. You know, them beasts coming off and up underground, up out the Caucasus Mountain and out them caves. You know, and then that's where Baratuda, this is gonna be King Midas' daddy. See, King Midas was an evil, wicked individual, and they got all kind of false history out of him that they done turned into folklore and all kind of stuff. But King Midas was a wicked, evil individual, and his daddy Baratuda and them was kicking it in Assyria after immediately after prophet Jonah had left there in 760 BC. He told the Assyrians to stop their robbing and killing, and how they was gonna be destroyed in like 30 days, 90 days or something like that if they didn't straighten up, and how destruction was coming on them. And then the Assyrian, the king, told them, because they believed in the creator. You see, because the tribe of Ephraim and some of them was hanging out with them folks. So, you know, they gonna probably tell them Assyrians, yeah, man, y'all, you know, it's over with, you know, with all these old non-pigmented folks hanging. So the king of Assyria told them folks, the beasts and everybody, put some sackcloth on and give praise to the creator. And you can read this in the book of Jonah, and we know that ain't no animals, no beasts with horns and hooves giving praise to no creator. And how it was them folks that had came out the Caucasus Mountain that was kicking it in Assyria and stuff, and then how they would, you know, try to clean up. And then prophet Jonah left there, you know, in 760 BC. All right, and then right after that, you know, Baratuda and all them pull up and start kicking it, and then they'll go start the robbing and stuff. And then 25 years later, the prophet Num would tell Assyria, you know, hey y'all, it's over with, because they wouldn't straighten up and they couldn't get them beasts up out their country. You know, they helped Assyria destroy Media. You know, the Ashkenazi, the Scythians and them, they went and destroyed these other semi-pigmented folks and robbed them and beat them down and stuff. And then, you that's when the prophet Jonah come there. And then they had destroyed Media in 678 BC, and then prophet Num would go there and tell Assyria, before then, hey y'all, it was over with. And then they would go do the robbing and stuff, and they just wouldn't stop. And then, they would eventually destroy Assyria, in 612 BC, and then how they would come towards us, because our sin, sin is like a magnet, it draw iron. You know what I'm saying? Sin is like a magnet, it draw iron. And we was drawing them folks to us by being wicked and evil and sinful. That's like now, they no longer wish they evil and wicked in this captivity, that all kind of destruction and stuff gonna stay on us. Because it's like a magnet. You know what I'm saying? All right, the prophet Habakkuk would tell us that Ashkenazi was coming, because now let's go to how the Egyptians, play a role. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, in 671 BC, the Assyrians would go into Egypt and whoop them Nubian stock and chase them up out of power, and then get a power to the folks that was kin to Ephraim and them, the Mishwish tribes that, that we was cool with, that exodus with us when we exodus Egypt, when we exodus Egypt with prophet, Moses, and I'm going to show you this real quick, and then I'm going to start showing how them Egyptians tricked us, by giving Joseph Asenath, and then from Asenath, we would have Manasseh and Ephraim, and how the tribe of Ephraim stayed on the Egyptian religion the whole time. And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds and very much cattle. So that's going to be the mixed Egyptians, leaving with us, that Joseph's sons and them was kin to the tribe of Ephraim. And you can see them entering and acting with us throughout the history. All right, so we know that Prophet Noah said that Japhet would be in Shem's house. We know that didn't come to pass. And we know that, Prophet Jonah, when he went to Assyria, that he was dealing with them old wicked Scythians and talking about them folks. And then the prophet Nahum tell you that Assyria was going to be destroyed for having them folks up in there. And then the prophet Habakkuk tell you that the Assyrians, the Ashkenazi who destroyed Assyria, was coming to get us and drive us up off the land because of our wickedness and how we wouldn't stop doing the Egyptian religion. The Egyptians tricked us. The Egyptians had to do trade across the promised land, and then how we was on the Egyptian religion from the death of Solomon all the way to King Josiah would clean up the Egyptian religion, and we would be clean of Egyptian religion for like 31 years, and then the Egyptians would kill King Josiah and put us back on the Egyptian religion, and then Ashkenazi would come get us. It's like all our enemies was playing us, and then Ashkenazi would come chase us off the land into Africa. They would chase us off the land into Africa, and I'm gonna show this. All right, like I say, they was real slick when they destroyed the temple. When they destroyed the temple, they was being real slick because we couldn't get no help. And I'm gonna read this. We couldn't get no help from the Creator with the temple with the temple destroyed, and they know this too. And they know that Solomon had said when he was making his supplications to the Creator that if anything should happen to us, and then how we could run to the temple, and then how the Creator would hear us, hear us, and then how we can he'll hear us and save us. But being the Ashkenazi was real slick and went in there and destroyed the temple. You see, Ashkenazi was being slick when he went in there and destroyed the temple, because then he knew we couldn't get no help. See, he knew we couldn't get no help. And then I had that first. Let me see. I had that history somewhere. Man, I can't believe this. Yeah, that was the purpose of them destroying the temple, was so we couldn't get no help. Because if the temple is destroyed, then, you know, the Creator couldn't hear us. Man, I can't believe how I just heard that from. Yeah, Ashkenazi chased us Hebrews off the covenant land under the name Scythian. You know, they chased us out under the name Scythian. And when they chased us out, we never did get the chance to come back. Because the 99% said that we was going into Africa to worship the Egyptian religion. You know, we said we was going into Africa to worship the Egyptian religion and how we was through with the covenant. Alright. Temple finish. Alright. Alright, this is what we said. You know, when Solomon, you know, the reason that them folks went and destroyed the temple and how they was real slick in destroying the temple and burning that up, because then during the Babylonian wars, after we was on the Egyptian religion, and then they caused the Babylonians to come get us, then, you know, they was slick and went and burnt the temple up so we couldn't get no help. Look, alright, and Solomon said this. But will Yah, you know what I'm saying, he said that the Creator can't dwell in no temple, and that how, you know. Now then, O Elohim, Yah of Israel, let thy word be verified, which thou hast spoken unto thy servant David. But will Yah in every deed dwell with man on the earth? Behold, heaven and the heavens of heavens cannot contain thee. How much less this house which I have built? Have respect therefore to the prayer of thy servant. Alright. And to his supplications, O Elohim, my Yah, to hearken unto the cry and the prayer which thy servant prayed before thee, that then I may be upon this house day and night, upon the place wherein thou hast said that thou wouldest put thy name there, to hearken unto the prayer which thy servant prayed toward this house. Hearken therefore unto the supplication of thy servant and of thy people Israel, which they shall make towards this place. Hear thou from thy dwelling place, even from heaven, and when thou hearest, forgive. If a man sin against his neighbor, and an oath be laid upon him to make him swear in the oath, come before then altar in this house, then hear from heaven, and do and judge thy servant by requiting the wicked, by recompensing his way upon his own head, and by justifying the righteous, by giving him according to his righteousness. And if the people Israel be put to the sword before then enemies, that's like Ashkenazi, if we was put to the sword before our enemies, because they have sinned against thee, and shall return and confess thy name, and pray and make supplications before thee in this house, then hear thou from heaven, and forgive the sin of thy people Israel, and bring them again unto the land which thou givest to them, to thy father, when the heaven is shut up and there is no rain, because they have sinned against you. See, if we went to the temple, and prayed, we can get some help. You see what I'm saying? So old Ashkenazi was real slick when they went in there and destroyed the temple. You know, when they went in there and destroyed the temple, they was being real slick, because then they knew we couldn't get no help. Look what it says. And burnt the house of the Elohim and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and all the houses of the great men burnt he with fire. You know what I'm saying? And all the Chaldean, the army of the Chaldean that was, you know what I'm saying, men, they break down the walls and burnt the whole place up with fire. So, you know, we couldn't get no help. So when Ashkenazi was chasing us up off the land, he knew we couldn't get no help. And then us seeing that that temple was burnt up, we ain't gonna be too quick to want to come back to the land. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna be too quick Want to come back? Look what it says. And the Chaldeans burnt the king's houses and the houses of the people with fire and break down all the walls of Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? So, if our enemies burning the temple up, and then we running into Africa and we seeing the temple gone and that we couldn't get no help, we gonna stay in Africa till the transatlantic slave trade start. And them folks been playing games with us because Ashkenazi made up the Chaldean army. Ashkenazi made up the Chaldean army, and how the Babylonians would come after destroying Assyria. They would come destroy us Hebrews next. And then, I show you where the prophet, Nahum already said Assyria would be destroyed. They came and did it. They came and did it. Ashkenazi. They came and did it. And then when they destroyed Assyria, they were settled in the promised land, and it will be called Scythopolis. Scythopolis. It was the head of the Discopolis cities. And the Discopolis cities is going to be where the New Testament people kicking it at from, the Galilee and in the Discopolis area. That's going to be where Ashkenazi settled at. Wasn't no Hebrews in the promised land. All the tribes were driven into Judah's inheritance during the Babylonian wars. And we would eventually, go off into Africa. And you can see this right here if you go to 2 Kings chapter 25. 2 Kings. Verse 26. Alright. And all the people, both small and great, and the captains of the armies arose and came to Egypt, for they was afraid of the Chaldeans. We was afraid of Ashkenazi. It was Ashkenazi that controlled and made up the Chaldean nation. Alright, and then if you go to Jeremiah 43, well, really 44, in verse 2, if you read the whole book of Jeremiah, he kept saying we was going to be driven off the land. We was going to be driven off the land, and we didn't take heed. We thought we was going to be there forever. This said the Elohim of hosts, the Yah of Israel, ye have seen all the evil that I have brought upon Jerusalem and upon all the cities of Judah, and behold, this day they are a desolation, and no man dwelleth therein. Either you was the 1% gone to Babylon, or you was the 99% that ran into Africa. And then this is what we said to Prophet Jeremiah on our way into Africa. This is what we said to him. We told him that the Creator didn't send him to tell us not to go into Africa. And it come to pass that when Jeremiah had made an end of speaking unto all the people the words of the Elohim their Yah, for which the Elohim their Yah had sent him to them, even all these words, then spake Azariah the son of Hoshea, and Johan the son of Ker, and all the proud men, saying unto Jeremiah, Thou speakest falsely. The Elohim our Yah hath not sent thee to say, Go not into Egypt to sojourn there. But Baruch the son of Ner setteth thee on edge against us, for to deliver us into the hand of the Chaldeans. That's deliver us into the hand of Ashkenazi. You know what I'm saying? That they might put us to death and carry us away captive to Babylon. So we said, no, man, the Creator ain't say go back to the promised land, and that you trying to trick us so the Babylonians can get us. And we took off into Africa, and we never did come back out of Africa. And this is what we told the prophet Jeremiah going into Africa. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burnt incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwell in the land of Egypt and Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Elohim, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will certainly do so whatever thing go forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings, our princes, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. But since for then had we plenty of food and were well, and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have been consumed by the sword and by famine. We told the prophet Jeremiah the reason the Babylonians would come chasing us off the land is because we wasn't in Africa doing the Egyptian religion. Now that's some crazy mess, but that's how we was thinking, and that's the type of mentality that we had. We told the prophet Jeremiah that since these folks was coming to get us, since Ashkenazi was coming to get us and chase us out the promised land, that the reason it was happening is because we wasn't in Egypt, in Africa, worshiping their religion. So, we took on off. And, we never did come back to the promised land. I got videos explaining where only Scythian arrowheads that's exclusively to the Scythians, and how they shot the whole town up. How they shot everything up, man, and how we had to get off the land because we said we was going to do the Egyptian religion. And we couldn't do Egyptian religion on covenant land. We couldn't do Egyptian religion on covenant land. It didn't make no sense. So the Creator was getting us up off the land. Finally, that was our last act, the book of Jeremiah. That's like I got a video saying that if you can't, show, in history that we the Hebrews, the only way to be able to do it is from the book of Jeremiah. Because if you can't show from the book of Jeremiah, you can't show how you a Hebrew Israelite. Because it ain't nothing but myths out there. And we don't have nothing but Tanakh history to show that we Israelites. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Alright, the book of Habakkuk. This is him telling us, this is in 625 BC. You know what I'm saying? And about ready to knock King Josiah off. We sinned and we all messed up on the Egyptian religion. And this is what Prophet Habakkuk say. He was sending for Ashkenazi. He told Ashkenazi to come get us. He told Ashkenazi to come get us. They had already destroyed Assyria. We wouldn't listen. So he told them folks to come get us. And they came and got us. Alright. This is Habakkuk 625 BC. The burden which Habakkuk the prophet did see. O Elohim, how long shall I cry, and thou wilt not hear? Even cry out unto thee of violence, and thou wilt not save. That's us inside, because the Babylonians hadn't pulled up yet, but they was like on their way. They was on their way. They done whooping Assyria, Assyria being destroyed. And then they on their way. But the wickedness and violence gonna be with us. Why doest thou show me iniquity and cause me to behold grievance? For spoiling and violence are before me, and there are none that rise up, and there are that rise up strife and contention. Therefore the law is slack, and judgment doeth never go forth. For the wicked doeth compass about the righteous. Therefore wrong judgment proceeded. That's how we was in the promised land, and how the wicked had took over. We were so wicked that we even went to the temple when we seen them folks was coming and they had did a little damage to us. We went to the temple and said, hey, let's everybody stop robbing and killing and doing all this wicked stuff to each other. And then maybe the Creator spare us. And then as soon as we left the temple, oh man, we was right back with the wickedness. And then, them folks came on in. Behold ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously. For I will work a work in your days which ye will not believe, though it be told you. For lo, I will rise up the Chaldeans, that's Ashkenazi, that bitter and hasty nation, which shall march through the breadest of the land to possess the dwelling places that are not theirs. And Ashkenazi right there in the homeland right now today, he in the promised land, tricking the folks, talking about that he the tribes of Israel, knowing that we ran off into Africa and left Ashkenazi and the Sephardi's our heritage. You know, they are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity shall proceed of themselves. You see how wicked they is, and that's how they been. But we abandoned our heritage to the Sephardi Jews during the Babylonian Wars, and they was placed in our land in 722 BC. They gonna be the first people. So Ashkenazi and the Sephardi's been working hand in hand, trying to keep the Hebrew Israelites' history hidden. You know, if you go to chapter 17, 2 Kings, and you'll see, and the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cuddar and from Ava and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. That's in 722 BC. Okay, in 588 BC, that's like 134 years later, we would abandon our heritage to the Sephardi Jews. And Sepharvaim is the Hebrew word for Sephardi. And then this is the tricky thing about them. This is the real tricky thing, man, about the Sephardi Jews, is that they from Babylon, and that Babylon was founded by Amorites. The whole Mesopotamia area, Cyprus, where they was from, is founded by Amorites. And it's like when we abandoned our heritage, we was abandoning our heritage to the Amorites, because the Sepharvaims are from Cyprus. And Sepharvaim means Sephardim, Sephardic. They are from Cyprus, Sepharvaim, and from Nippur too, but this whole little area right here. And when they was placed in Samaria in 722 BC, they was Amorites already. And we were supposed to destroy the Amorites. And then from leaving Egypt, we were supposed to destroy the Amorites. And then when the people was placed in our land, we didn't destroy them because we was on Egyptian religion. See, we was on Egyptian religion in 722 BC. We had been on Egyptian and Mesopotamian religion since the death of Solomon, the whole northern kingdom. You see, and that's where they was placed. See, they gonna be placed where the folks sinning the most. Where the Hebrews are sinning the most is where the enemies is gonna be placed. And they was placed there. And then when we go into Africa during the Babylonian Wars, we would leave them with our heritage. And then Ashkenazi was settled in the promised land then. During the Babylonian Wars. That's like a lot of Hebrews, they be saying, the Khazars, the Jews are the Khazars, and they just now got our heritage. Pure lost, don't know nothing about no real history. And that's how the myths that they put out. You got Hebrews that'll stand up and down with a sword rather than battle with their life over the myth. You have some, we went into Africa in 70 AD, and then be willing to lay his life on the line for that lie, and be ready to fight for that lie. You know, that's how them Jews did us when we abandoned our heritage. They start constructing false history and myths that's been going for a long time. And ain't nobody really been showing no Hebrew history unto the Israelite Brotherhood. Come on, you know what I'm saying? We ain't going, and we ain't finna let them folks keep riding on us Hebrews. We gonna give us Hebrews something to fight with. And then if you watch them videos that the Israelite Brotherhood got, you'll start to formulate an understanding of what happened to us. You'll be able to see your heritage real easy. You see what I'm saying? But in the book of Habakkuk, Ashkenazi was called to chase us up out the land. And the prophet Habakkuk tell you how vicious they would be. Their horses are also swifter than the leopard and are most furious than the evening wolves. You know what I'm saying? He talking about Ashkenazi and how his horses would be real vicious. And I got images why I done showed this. That's them. That's them coming on them horses right there. And that's what the prophet Habakkuk said. Their horses are swifter than the leopard and are more furious than the evening wolves. Wolves. And their horses shall spread themselves, and their horsemen shall come from far. They shall fly as the eagle that hasten to eat. And that's the symbol that they got now. The bald eagle, you know, and the prophet Moses said that the eagle would come take us away. It come swoop down on us as swift as the eagle flieth. And we know that's the American symbol. They shall come for violence. Their face shall swoop up as the east wind. They shall gather the captivity as the sand. That's what they did when they come from Spain. When them folks went up to Spain, that's like, you know, they got the Sephardi and try to say that that's the word for Sephardi, you know what I'm saying, from Spain. When Sephardi, the Sephardim name was around before Portugal was even thought about. And the same with Germany. They try to say Ashkenazi mean Germany, and we know Ashkenazi name was around before Germany was even a nation. So you can't believe in folks on nothing. But you see how it says that they will come and gather the captivity as the sand. That's what happened when they came down from Spain and from Europe and gathered us from the Sahara. You know, I got a video explaining how, you know, our first derogatory name was the Gramantians and how they fighting to try to give the Gramantians a barbar heritage, because the barbar heritage leads to our enemies and so forth. But, you know, this what the prophet Habakkuk said, and they shall scoff at the kings, and the princes shall be a scorn to them, and they shall deride even stronghold, for they shall heap dust and take it. Then shall his mind change, and he shall pass over and offend, imputing this his power unto his God. You see what I'm saying? That's what Ashkenazi and the Sephardis did. They think that the Babylonian gods, they gods, and enslaved us and got us messed up, when it was the creator from the beginning. From when we broke covenant, it was laid out with prophet Moses with the curses, or how if you broke the covenant, you're gonna get the curses. Well, these folks was the instrument of the creator to get us. And if you read the book of Habakkuk, man, he'll tell you the whole, this they whole characteristics. Then shall his mind change, and he shall pass over in the fear, imputing that his power unto his God. Art thou not from everlasting, O Elohim, my Yah, mine holy one? We shall not die, O Elohim. Thou hast ordained them for judgment. In a mighty Yah, thou hast established them for correction. So they been established for correction. And us getting beat down and going through this wickedness that we've been going through in this captivity, you should want to change your heart and not be like these evil, wicked folks. Okay, Hebrews, it was Ashkenazi that chased us into Africa. It was Ashkenazi that chased us into Africa during the Babylonian Wars. And ain't no getting around this history that I show. Shalom. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. The Israelite Brotherhood show we Hebrews without a question of a doubt. You Hebrews subscribe and get other Hebrews to subscribe so you can stay informed, and then so you can start to see how our history really should go. Because we ain't using them Babylonian myths no more. Shalom. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood.